Newlyweds David and Louise Turpin leave West Virginia for Texas. Their fresh start hits younger sister Elizabeth hard.
We had a tape player we used to play with, and she left a message on it, and I kept that recording where she was telling me how much she loved me and missed me before she left, because she knew she was going a long ways.
Why Texas? It seems David has a job there. Elizabeth says they kept up with occasional visits back to West Virginia, and things seem okay.
They acted the same around me. David was good to me. She was good to me.
It's here in Texas where the Turpins begin having children. And slowly, Elizabeth says, visits back home stop. Contact becomes ever more sporadic.
They started having more kids. They became more and more distant, and then they got to where by the time they had the fourth one, they quit coming in.
And it was during one of those last visits, Elizabeth says, that she asked her sister a question.
How about I go stay with you for the summer instead of Mommy or Daddy?
Elizabeth moves in with Louise, David, and their 4 young children in this house in Fort Worth, Texas. Soon after, she says, she starts noticing that things are a bit off.
I remember they were really strict on the oldest daughter. She was bound to her room a lot. They would let her come down and eat meals. She would have to get permission to sit down. She was in the early, maybe kindergarten, first grade. She had to look her mom in the eye, and there had to be a smile between them, and she'd tell her, go ahead. And then she would eat, and it was just that same routine every day.
Elizabeth remembers more than just strict rules. She says the kids were kept in their rooms for long stretches of time. Her contact with her nieces and nephews was limited.
It was almost like she didn't want me talking to the kids, and they weren't allowed to talk to me without permission.
Although she feels uneasy about the situation, she also feels unable to speak up.
Maybe I shouldn't question her parenting. I mean, what have I got to offer? I'm 19, 20 years old, you know. I wasn't comfortable with her like I used to be.
Another startling discovery? She says she finds her sister and brother-in-law drifting away from their strict Pentecostal upbringing.
They didn't want to bring their kids up in church. They don't trust church people. I do know that she started getting into checking out other religions. They read up on like witch doctors and stuff like that. I remember her looking into Mormonism, Catholics, and Mennonites.
Elizabeth says the Turpins adopted a type of hybrid religion, one that she thinks sparks those strict house rules, rules that also apply to Elizabeth.
I was told I couldn't make phone calls. I wasn't allowed to have anybody over. I wasn't allowed to tell anybody where I lived.
Elizabeth says she's allowed to leave the house only for her job in town. She says this is all dictated by one person, her sister. But she has also begun to notice a strange dynamic between the couple.
Well, he's made all the decisions and he just stepped back and watched. It was weird. She always seemed to be in control, but there was always looks between them, and he was always sitting back watching.
But she says when it came to her, David wasn't just a passive observer.
As time progressed, he got weird, very flirty, right in front of Louise, so it really made me uncomfortable. He would talk about my shape and different things. It was supposed to all be laughs, but it didn't make me feel comfortable.
Elizabeth claims it eventually gets much creepier.
I hated taking a shower there. I would get in the shower and I'd lock the door. And Louise would unlock it with a coat hanger. And they would both come in there. They wouldn't leave until I got out of the shower, and they made me get out of the shower in front of them. I was naked, but he never touched me. I want to get that on the record. David never touched me.
Elizabeth says it becomes too much for her, and by the end of that summer, she's out of the house and, for the most part, out of the Turpins' lives.
One thing I want to make very clear, I've never seen them abuse them in any way, sexually, physically.
Louise and David continue having many, many more children. At some point, they choose to homeschool them.
No one really had a lot of contact with the family or the children.
And despite having a good job at a defense contractor, Lockheed Martin, the family's finances are in the red. The Turpins abandoned Fort Worth, leaving behind a squalid scene. As captured in photos by the new homeowner who was so disgusted by what he saw, he kept those photos for nearly 20 years. Deplorable conditions, filth, scratches on the backs of doors and walls that the new owners assumed were made by animals. The Turpins move into this house set on a sprawling 36 acres in the rural Texas town of Rio Vista.
It's a town of only a couple of hundred people. It's actually even hard to find on the map. Everyone pretty much knows each other.
Neighbors recall sporadic sightings and strange behavior.
I was getting concerned something's going on over there, you know, something's not right.
In an interview with the Daily Mail, Shelley's daughter Ashley recounts her interactions with the reclusive family.
It was just normal kid stuff at first. I remember going over one day and knocking on the door, and their mom answered the door, and she told me that I couldn't play with the kids anymore. Anytime I would go over there after that and I would knock on the door, nobody would answer the door. I'd knock and knock and knock and nobody would answer. But I could see the baby was in a playpen in the window, and she'd be there for hours, all day, all night, unsupervised.
Ashley recounts that the family kept a double-wide trailer on the property.
And then one day they moved in that double-wide trailer back there and moved further to the back, and it was like you never saw them again. As I got older, and the more I realized, you know, there are a whole lot of kids over there that are growing up or have grown up. What are they doing?
Then 2010, once again, the Turpins' finances forced them out of their home.
The secrecy just grew and grew, and then they were gone. One day they just vanished.
We know that they left Rio Vista when they left everything behind, and they moved to California, and they moved their children there, and that's the last anyone here in Texas heard about this family.
The Turpins seemingly disappeared overnight, but they left plenty of clues behind about the time they spent cloistered in that Rio Vista property.
Well, we did go up there after they were gone because, you know, we were curious. There were bunk beds in one room, and they were all like, I think there were 6 of them just stacked, all in a row. And then in another room, they had all these desks all lined up like a schoolroom. There was religious material that was a little off the wall. Prepare for the Armageddon. The house was a mess.
The trailer was located right over here.
Billy Baldwin bought the Turpins' house in a foreclosure sale. He finds that same mess.
It was just nasty stuff all over the walls.
And also some bizarre photographs.
I do have some Polaroid pictures that I found. They're looking into one picture in the one bedroom. There's 2 single beds, it looks like, and on the end of that one bed rail, there's a rope hanging off of it. But we didn't have no idea what was going on in there. I really feel bad that something like that would happen.
Hi everyone, George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.